Now, this was a video I wanted to release the night before Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse first came out. So yeah, this is a very past due video, and I do apologize, but I do want to release it right before right before Transformers: Rise of the Beast came out. Yeah, so yeah, as of this point, I'm actually releasing it right after in the middle of the night, because I just want to release it as early as I can before that movie is fully released to the public in America. All right, so yeah, just want to point that out right there. Alright, so today I am going to be doing something a little different, and that is that I am going to be going over two movies in one, and I'm going to go through each one one at a time, of course, but they're all going to be in the same video. So yeah, and then and because both of them are going to have sequels that are close that are far close to being released, I figure it's best to do them in one, just in preparation for the upcoming movies. The first one is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, this movie was a movie I have not seen since it first came out in theaters. And I remember really liking it back when it first came out. I think it was great that we're finally getting an animated superhero movie based off of an established property from Marvel for a change. And considering that this movie won for Best Animated Movie in that year, it makes me hopeful to see any other any other animated movies based off of the Marvel property, as well as one based off of a DC property. So before I get into my feelings on the movie as a whole, I'm gonna go and give a quick synopsis on the film. Miles Morales is a teenager who lives in Brooklyn who gains spider-like abilities and has become the new Spider-Man. When a particular accelerator opens up alternative dimensions, Miles teams up with different versions of Spider-Man from other universes, including Peter B. Parker, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, and Penny Parker, to stop the villainous Kingpin. Together, they must learn to work as a team and save their respective worlds from imminent danger, while Miles embraces his newfound powers and learns what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Now let's get the elephant out of the room, and that is, of course, the animation. It's fantastic. I mean, there is nothing else I can say about this. To me, this feels like a living comic book on screen. Like the idea, the vision you would imagine of seeing a moving comic book pierced on the screen. This is definitely it. I think the animation is phenomenal. I really do love this animation. Now, it's no secret that this animation is what inspired other movies that goes with a similar art style. As you can tell, I already reviewed one, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I did a reaction trailer of the new TMNT movie that has that similar art style. And it seems like it's a new wave of animation that mixes both 3D and 2D combined. And yeah, it's a nice change of pace. Now, would I want that for every upcoming animated movie? No, obviously not. But it is quite refreshing to see this new style, especially when many people do seem to be tired of standard 3D animation, especially considering that we don't even have traditional 2D animation anymore. But yeah, I really do love the animation in this movie. Again, like, it's just so colorful. It brings out it just gives a new life to it, the brightness of it. Yeah, it's really great. I also think it's really telling about the way they open the movie. Like it's so outstanding just how it's being done. I really do just like the style all around. I also think that it is ingenious to finally do a movie that focuses on Miles Morales. I haven't read much of Miles Morales. I have read the first volume of his debut, and that was about it. But I really do like that instead of just doing another Peter Parker centric story, they decided to put the focus on Miles Morales, and yeah, it's great. I really do like that his origin is not Peter 2.0, or he is, or it's like a mimic of Peter. Although, like Peter, he is shown not to fit in with kids from his from his school, which was a prep school. He is shown that he had friends beforehand, as who he seems to be open with, and is very more relaxed, and it's not as insecure as say Peter was before his fateful incident with the spider. The other spider people in the movie is also good as well. I do like the addition of some of the other Spider-Man that most people, that I'm sure some fans have heard, but not a lot of people outside of it has done. Like for instance, the Spider-Man Noir, who is voiced by Nicolas Cage, by the way, and does a nice job of it, and it's great. And there's also the fact that they have a Spider Ham, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have ever seen up until seeing this movie. And then there is the Penny Parker, which has that anime style depiction in terms of the way she is presented. And of course, you have the Spider Gwen, although she is known as Spider Woman in her dimension, but I believe the movies label her as Spider Gwen. And there's also the Peter B. Parker thing, who is very much a grizzled, washed up Peter, and he was fine. I mean, I was a little. I mean, I didn't really think I was going to like him too much just because of how washed up and grizzled he was, but he eventually did come around, and I think that he and Miles had such a wonderful chemistry together on screen, and I think it was really. If there is actually a criticism, that is the fact that aside from Peter and Peter B. Parker and Gwen, not much time was given to the Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, and Penny Parker. They just kind of feel a bit like extras. Like they were just like they were the last ones to be revealed, but not individually. They were there all together, and then there wasn't really that much put into them, unfortunately. But yeah, that is kind of an issue. But I get it. I mean, this is very much Miles' story, so it is fair not to put more emphasis on all of them, and then just put emphasis on a few, like Peter and Gwen, not counting Miles, of course. Another issue I kind of have is it's kind of more of a nitpick, I guess. Although I don't know if I was saying much, but there was a point when so later on in the movie it is revealed that one of the Kingpin's henchmen, the Prowler, is basically Aaron Davis, who is Miles's uncle. But before that, there was a moment when after Kingpin killed the Peter Parker from the Spider-Man from Miles's world, Kingpin offered to told Prowler to follow him and basically kill him, and then it seems like he was just going to do that, but he could clearly see that as Miles, though, right? I mean, like, I don't know, like it seems very very weird. Like, again, this is my second time viewing it since theaters, but I remember there was a moment where I was looking back at it, and I remember that reveal when I first saw it in the theater, and I was like saying to myself, wait, is he actually attempted to kill his own nephew? It just seemed off, especially when when it was revealed to Prowler of Miles being one of the Spider-Man, the makeshift costume, he didn't do anything. So that was kind of yeah, that to me was kind of put off, like just confusion. So I don't know. Let me know if you can read that scene. But anyway, I would also like to say that his death was was handled quite well in a very more Spider-Man-y concept. So, there's also some humor that I'm not too keen on, like the whole point of after the moment where Miles was bitten by the spider and realizes like the abilities. There was a bit where he asked if he was hitting puberty. I can go without that. It's these types of I don't know. I guess I'm not 100% into that type of humor and such. But yeah, that was kind of a bit of a point, a letdown. Humor I didn't care for. I also would like to point out in terms of how the whole multiverse concept was handled in the context of this movie. I would say it's handled and in comparison to what we eventually got in No Way Home, I would say it's handled a lot better here because they actually added a bit more stakes to it. Like they stated, like if the spider people from Miles's world stay too long, stay in his world for too long, they would eventually die. And then I thought that and I like that. And the thing is that I like that they actually added a bit more stakes to the whole multiverse concept. And I thought it was handled effectively. Spider-Man: No Way Home was obviously used the multiverse as a way to capture the nostalgia for the past movies and such. So yeah, I really do think how they handled the multiverse was rather effective in the context of this movie. Overall, I don't know what else is there for me to say. Again, this is coming from my second viewing experience, so I don't intend. I mean, I don't intend to go fully in depth with the story just yet. I mean, maybe for future videos, I would like to go on depth with stories, on the story being told. But as of right now, for my second viewing experience, it is a really nice watch, a look back to. I really do dig it. I'm definitely looking forward to Across the Spider-Verse and the third movie that is scheduled to come out next year. So obviously this is going to be a two-parter. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Yeah, so yeah, that's my take on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And so the next one is Bumblebee. Now, unlike Spider-Verse, I actually did see this movie a few more times after its theatrical release. But I still don't remember much from it. But I will say I will probably be a little bit more in depth with this one because like I said, I have seen this a couple of times compared to Spider-Verse. Before I get to this the synopsis, I would like to say that my experience when I first got out of the theater, Bumblebee to me was one of the most pleasant surprises I have seen in quite a while. Sometimes, especially when you compare it to the to the Transformers film series as a whole, the Michael Bay live action Transformers movie, or as many would dub it, Bayformers. Yeah, because yeah, this was a huge refresher after the soullessness that was the previous five movies. I mean these movies. I don't know what else to say. They're just soulless, mindless garbage that has no heart, no passion, no creativity within either of them. So watching Bumblebee was such a breath of fresh air. It definitely was. Now this was my first experience of it. There were problems of it, and after having to rewatch it for this video, yeah, there's still some problems I do want to get to. But I mean, overall, it was still overall. I remember thinking it was still a lot better than what we had in the past. Now, the plot obviously shares similar tropes to, say, E.T. or the Iron Giant. You know, like a boy, or in this case, a girl, befriends with an otherworldly creature, and then they have and then they bond. They develop a strong bond, and while at the same time you have the government trying to come after it. It's very similar stuff, but done in a Transformer style. In fact, I will probably say that this has a lot more in common with E.T. and Iron Giant than, say, the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, which is something that I know that Steven Spielberg, who was the executive producer of that movie, wanted to convey with the character of Sam Witwicky and Bumblebee, but it obviously wasn't as impactful in the way it was done. But this was definitely the type I assume that Spielberg definitely wanted to tell with the first Bay movie. Now, obviously, one of the reasons why this movie was so widely beloved and why, in many ways, it does feel like a breath of fresh air is because the fact that it was not directed by Michael Bay at all. It was directed by Travis Knight, who is well known for his stop motion animated picture of Kubo and the Two Strings. Now, I haven't seen that movie personally, but I do think that having someone who is well known into animation was definitely the right choice for this job. The movie is set in 1987, and it features Bumblebee being sent to Earth to find a place for the Autobots during the fall of Cybertron. There, he meets up with a lost teenager named Charlie, played by Haley Steinfeld, and they form a strong bond. Meanwhile, you have Decepticons trying to locate Bumblebee, and with the help of Sector 7, they attempt to track him down. So it's up for Bumblebee and Charlie to help each other out with their issues, while also trying to avoid from the government. Before I get to the stuff that I do like about this movie, let me just get out of the way the stuff that I really don't like, first and foremost. And that, of course, is a lot of disappointing characters, particularly Charlie's family. Yeah, there's no way around it. They are one of, if not by far, the weakest aspects of this movie. Now, they certainly aren't as irritating as the Witwickies in the first three movies, but they certainly are. But they certainly always bring the movie down whenever I watch it. I'm always very tempted to switch off to fast forward every time whenever they're on screen, just because they just really just soured the movie down altogether. And considering that your lead is a teenager, we're also going to have to deal with some teenage shenanigan stuff. And yeah, that is also another bit that I didn't like. It also has a really mean-spirited scene that I just always avoided watching every time I go back to it, just because it was just that cruel. John Cena, I really like him a lot, with all due respect, but he really comes off as a Michael Bay character that's being thrown into this movie. And I think well, to be fair, that's kind of a lot of the stuff that I do have with this movie. Even though a lot of it does feel very different from Michael Bay's previous movies, it's like, because Michael Bay is the producer, he actually left some of his, some of the stuff that most of us aren't particularly fond of into it, and I think that, and to me, that kind of sours the movie, like the stuff with the family and then the teenagers, and of course, John Cena's character. I just think these moments alone just really hurt the movie for me altogether. But aside from that, everything else is, a lot of the stuff really does. I do think a lot of this, the stuff I didn't like, does kind of help make up for some of the really good stuff, and that's of course the strong bond between Charlie and Bumblebee, as I mean, obviously they are the heart of the movie, which is something which again is something I cannot say about the past movies. They're like this movie actually has heart. It has a soul in it. It's there's something, there's actually moments there where you actually do care, and what's happening in the movie. But that isn't what I truly like about this movie. The one thing that always sticks around with me whenever I go back to it is the way they depict the war on Cybertron. God, I wish this was the entire movie. Believe me, I do. The and let's get into the designs. Wow, they look incredible. The fact that they actually captured the G1 aesthetics, and then it's just gorgeous to look at. I mean, like, and for decades of hearing others saying that the G1 designs are impossible to adapt onto the screen. Well, there's your answer in terms of how it's done well. So yeah, this yeah like just like seriously, I wish we get more time on Cybertron, just so we could see the designs and the fact, and which brings me to another point. You can actually tell who the robots are, which is another factor that these movies fail to do. Like, for the most part, you could barely tell who the Autobots and the Decepticons are. I mean, to be fair, the Autobots, they are kind of distinctive in a way, but the Decepticons, they just they're always gray. Like, seriously, they're always gray, and which is kind of an issue with a lot of movies that features villains, especially those based off of comic books, or in this case, toy lines, where your villain is just a generic big gray blob. It's just unappealing, and then it doesn't really it doesn't really make you feel compelled to about these characters, because a lot of times they aren't characters in this movie. And speaking of the Decepticons, they're actually deceptive, and not only that, but they talk. Like in the past movies, every time whenever the Decepticons speak, is always a huge growl. Like the only reason that it's obviously a growl is because it's almost, I guess what I'm trying to say is that them growling is basically just them trying to tell you that, oh yeah, they're the bad robots, like, because yeah, they can't talk, they have to growl, so that's how you know that they're evil and such. Like, that's, yeah, like that's how you could basically tell they're not characters, right? They're just mindless monsters, basically. But again, this movie continues to really just destroy that trend. Like, no, these are actual characters. They can speak, And I'm gonna be honest. Aside from the heartwarming moments with Charlie and Bumblebee, the scenes with the Decepticons and of course the Seven agents are a lot of the best scenes that happens in this movie. Again, wish there was a little bit more of it, but hey, at least there's there, and then it shows you that, hey, these are actual characters, and that's another thing too, is that the Transformers of these movies are characters. They don't treat them like they are just background filler, for as if so we could spend more time on these boring humans than that we have with the past movies. And this kind of brings me to my next point, and that is the fact that I am so sick and tired of seeing these properties where your main characters are these anthropomorphized or non-human entities being translated into film, only for them to get tossed aside in favor of a very generic, boring human character who I'm sure the audience will not remember once leaving the theater. Lately, we seem to be slowly avoiding this trend. Now, with the upcoming new new Transformers movie that's coming out, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, it does seem like we may still get a human centric story, even though there's also a potential that we may get more time spent with the Autobots and the relationship with the Maximals. Although it does look like that there's going to be a human story at the heart of it all, but regardless, it's a pet peeve of mine that I wish we just stopped doing altogether a lot. But at least I hope that they are as likable as Charlie was in this movie. Now, many people also would like to say that this is supposed to be a prequel to the previous five movies, which a part of me wishes there wasn't. I just wish that, like, really, I just wish that they just went full on reboot with this one, because this is such a nice fresh start for something new, especially considering that the previous movies, failed to connect with each other in terms of their stories. Every movie, there's always a retcon of why the Autobots and Decepticons came to Earth. So I don't see the point of it. Just keep making a reboot. And then from what I heard, based on early reviews of the latest movie, that's what it is. It's a reboot. It's not a prequel. So I don't know. Now again, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just gonna have to wait and see until that movie comes out. But yeah, like, just stick to the reboot. All right. I mean, those past five movies didn't really care about connecting with each other. So why bother connecting with these movies? All right, just start off fresh. That's all. Okay. And considering that this is supposed to be a prequel to the Michael Bay movies, then seeing Bumblebee and Charlie split up makes it even more depressing, considering that he would eventually end up with this asshole, right?
Come here. Come here.
Come on! Sam.
What is your deal, huh? I know your Black Ops stuff is important to you, and I'm not trying to diminish it or, guilt trip you or anything. I just never see you anymore. You can't come to the garage, just hang out one night?
Sam, that makes me feel bad.
Well, yeah, well, I hope you feel bad. You should feel bad. Look at the jalopy I'm driving now. I feel bad every single day.
You need to shut the up!
Lastly, I do want to address my final complaint, and it's sort of more of a nitpick. I get what they're going for in terms of how they want to connect with the story and such. That is the whole memory loss and removal and the voice box thing. Now, even though I said they should have connected, they should have went for a more rebooted route. There is signs that they were trying to connect with the Michael Bay movies, and the voice box is a prime example. And also because of the face, like as I said about how the movie was able to stay true to the original G1 designs, Bumblebee's face was the only one that they pretty much stick with from those movies. And yeah, they tried to do the whole voice box thing, but the reason why I bring it up is because it kind of removes the character who he was at the start of it, because I really like the guy who provided the voice for Bumblebee, and I almost wish that they just stick with him with that voice throughout the entire movie. And I also would have preferred it if he didn't lose his memory and just met him naturally. But I get that but they tried to do the whole child befriends an alien with a very childlike innocence, and this is where I feel like they take most of their inspirations from the Iron Giant, because that is what the Iron Giant was. The Iron Giant had like a childlike naivety due to his amnesia, and then they really try to copy off that. In fact, there was a moment near the end, in the climax, where like with the Iron Giant, Bumblebee goes berserk as his eyes were turning red. Now, it wasn't as effective as Iron Giant, because it came by quick. And yeah, so you could tell that there are definitely a lot more of Iron Giant stuff there. And it's kind of sucks, because it's almost not very subtle about it. But so that's kind of like my final complaint, is the whole voice box thing, because I kind of wish they would have just had him talk throughout the entire movie. Overall, I think Bumblebee is a really decent, a really good movie that does have a few problems that keeps it from being great. What is there to say? It is easily the best of the of all the recent of all the Transformers movies that came out, not counting the original 86 movie, mind you, but in comparison to, like, of course, the previous five movies that Michael Bay has done, yeah, I mean, it's easily the best. There is no contest here. because at least this movie at least make an attempt to make you care about what's happening. It has a few bumpy roads there, but it's but for a lot of it, there is still very genuine moments in the movie that keeps me at least hooked into it. So yeah, that's it with Bumblebee.